Good evening. Welcome to the City of Opa-locka Regular Commission meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass? I'm here. Commissioner Taylor?
Here.
Mayor Pickett?
I'm here. Commissioner Taylor, to lead us in pledge, invocation.
God, we thank you for bringing us together one more time in your name. God, we ask that you come upon this meeting that we may have peace and do your will for your people. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic of one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. We do have a few, we have an award and also acknowledgement. First of all, we are in the month of October, and I see a lot of folk here with their pink on. Much respect for wearing in honor of breast cancer awareness. With that, Commissioner Bass, you want to say a few words? Because Commissioner Bass made sure the commission has some pink on today. So go ahead, Commissioner Bass.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and see about your city, to see about our city. Yes, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm sure that each one of us knows someone or knew someone who was affected by breast cancer. And little fact, most people don't know that men also have breast cancer sometimes. So it's not about women, it's not about men, it's about us as a people. So just continue to pray for those that you know that are going through. Those of us who have not yet experienced it, we don't know what's coming towards us. So let's continue to support the American Cancer Society and all of those agencies that help with breast cancer awareness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Bass. And I would like for us to come down and take a picture. We received the award, City of Opa-locka, and I want to make sure it gets its due justice. So, come down there. As many of you know, we have two elementary schools within the city of Opa-locka, and they are trusted partners in really developing the next generation of leaders and our youth and our kids here in the city of Opa-locka. And for many years, we've had a very strong relationship with one of them. It used to be called Opa-locka Elementary, and it was changed its name to Robert Ingram Elementary, due to the impact that one of our stellar mayors, Robert B. Ingram, had on this city and on this community. So the Robert B. Ingram family, with their principal, Dr. Cynthia Clay and Miss Kimberly Negron, the assistant principal, wanted to present a great appreciation to the people in the city of Opa-locka in recognition of and appreciation for our commitment and service to Dr. Robert B. Ingram Elementary. It says that your kindness shown during this unprecedented year is appreciated more than words can express. Thank you for being an outstanding community partner. Let's give a round of applause to the City of Opa-locka, all the staff, all the people that spend their time to empower our youth. Thank you. I just got to recognize that one of our commission members, Charlene Bass, is one of a community liaison for Robert B. Ingram. So she is definitely dedicated to the cause. Thank you for your service. right, moving on to the consent agenda and pull list. Are there any pulls, deletions, or deferrals? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Davis. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Pickett.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Bass,
Second.
second by Commissioner Taylor. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Mayor Pickett.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Do I have a motion to approve the first budget hearing minutes for September 15th, 2021?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Pickett.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Do I have any reports from District 1 or District 2?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Did you do both minutes?
I believe so.
Okay,
I didn't.
just making sure.
Which one did I do then?
Can we just do the second one?
All right.
Under
Do I have a
second
motion to approve the second budget hearing minute for September 22nd, 2021?
Move it. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor, second by Commissioner Bass. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Mayor Pickett?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right. We have a public presentation by the Integrity Group.
Good afternoon, Your Honorable Mayor, City Commission, Mr. Manager. I'm Norris Ivy from the city of Daytona Beach, from N&N Consulting Marketing Group. I'm here tonight to present a group that is helping the citizens of the state of Florida. I bring this group to you with knowledge, experience, and the willingness to help our communities continue to thrive. I would like to present to you one of my partners, Mr. Mark Glover from Alliance Strategy, in which he will in turn around and introduce Jeremy from the Integrity Group. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you, Mr. Manager, for allowing us to present to your city. Thank you.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm sorry that I didn't get the memo about the pink, but I am aware of the breast cancer awareness night. My name is Mark. Let me try to do this way. My name is Mark Glover, and I am here with the Integrity Group to present to you some opportunities that we have seen that can basically very, very much help the city of Opa-locka. The Integrity Group, and Jeremy we'll get to this. Jeremy Tidwell, he's one of the leaders inside the group. But we have worked together as a collective in order to be able to bring solutions to various municipalities throughout the state, as well as throughout the southeastern United States, particularly as it relates to the ARPA funds. You all basically have the opportunity to draw down $7.9 million per what your allocation has been, and in 2 tranches. The Integrity Group focuses on compliance and grant compliance therein. They have never had any clawbacks, knock on wood, for any grants that they have operated. They're based out of Tallahassee, and they therefore know a lot around what it is and the opportunities that exist beyond just the ARPA funds. You all have the opportunity to draw down the ARPA funds, but also be able to do what I call ARPA Plus, which will basically allow you to draw down additional grants that you may not necessarily look after initially, because you'll be able to utilize some of those funds out of ARPA to create opportunities for matching funds that you would already not necessarily be inclined to. We do have a presentation. Jeremy, do you want to kind of run through that? Yep, we do have a presentation, and I think that that the IT folks have that on deck. I'll let Jeremy go ahead and go through it. Thank you again for your opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thank you, Mark. Lady and gentlemen of the commission, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, my name is Jeremy Tidwell. I'm with the Integrity Group. As Mark said, we're in Tallahassee, founded by two gentlemen that were with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for many, many years. So they know the wheels of government very well. But Mark said a very important word to us, and that is maximize, because that's really what our focus is on maximizing the dollars that Opa-locka gets with the ARPA funds, but also look to see if there are any other funds. We've handled over $1 billion in funds with FEMA over the past 10 years. We've handled multi-million dollars in HUD CDBG grants, as well as have been very involved in the CARES Act funding and the two instances of the emergency rental assistance that has come down from the federal government. So we're very well aware of all those, how all those things work. But another one of our big focuses is on compliance. And I think that's what sets us apart from our competitors is we really are doing at the very beginning everything we can to make everything that we do for you audit ready, so that when inevitably it is audited at the end of all this, nothing is clawed back. And as Mark said, we've never had a clawback, not a penny in any of the programs that we've worked with. Were we able to get the slide deck? So if you'll go to the fourth slide, I'm going to start at the beginning, and that is we are experts in grant management, in audits and those types of things, but you guys are the experts. Let's go one more. You guys are the experts in Opa-locka. You live here, you're in this community, you're clearly willing to serve the people of this community, and that is important. We see that as extremely valuable. And so the clients that we work with, we come in not to take over things, but to work for you as auxiliary staff. We have our area of expertise, but we also recognize that this is your community. And so if we go to the next slide, this is sort of the model of how we work. First, we would do a very detailed view of what's important to this community. And you know that can be more than just what ARPA does. We want to know what is important in this community. And then we go out and we identify sources of funding. So ARPA, as Mark said, you guys are drawing down about $7.9 million over the course of the next few years. And so we would look at that, but we'd also look at other funding with CDBG, CDBG DR is another one that we pull in. But we look and see what monies are out there that we can augment the ARPA funds with. And then we take a look and we link the two. We link what your strategies are and your objectives are with the money that is out there. And then we put together a tactical implementation plan. That's what we'll send forth to the U.S. Department of Treasury so that they know what we're doing from the very beginning. And then we come up with a detailed project management plan. So that's where we come in. So how do we come in and help you manage those plans that we've come up with together? And then again, that very important part is to close out and make sure that everything we do is audit ready so that you guys don't hold the bill at the end of the day. And that is extremely important to us. So one more slide. So again, here's the opportunity with the ARPA funds specifically. I'm sure you guys have all done your homework, so I'm not going to stand up here and lecture you what it's about. But it's to help the American people, specifically your community, recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. And so that can be done in quite a number of ways to support any kind of health expenditures, including mitigation, medical expenses, those types of things. It can also, and we've done this in quite a number of communities, you can use it to address the negative impact on your community. And so in several communities, we've done grant programs for small businesses, for nonprofits, for churches can also be involved in this, even for individuals. We can run, and we have several packet-ready grant programs that include a website, a portal, the the application process. We have a project management piece on our end, so we're able to run those grant programs soup to nuts. We can also use it to replace lost city revenue. And so we have some auditors that would be able to come in and help you identify any lost revenue that you've incurred. We can use it to enhance the pay for essential workers if you want to do some kind of bonus program or something like that. And then finally, there is an infrastructure component to this, but it's specifically for water and wastewater and sewage. And so there's some other ways that we can pull other grants in. This is where that comes into play to be able to try to build some of your infrastructure back up, as well as the broadband internet. So last slide. So we would love to sit down with the city of Opa-locka and enter into an agreement to come in and connect with you guys, to contract with you in handling the ARPA and some of these other grant management funds. We would then be able to immediately help you, if you haven't already, draw that first tranche down so that it can be put in interest-bearing accounts. Because this grant program, unlike some of the other ones, the interest that you earn off of this money can be used for whatever the city wants it to be used for. So that's a very key, kind of a different component of this as opposed to other grant programs. Then we would conduct that analysis that we talked about to figure out where we want to apply this money. Determine where that goes. But as I said, ultimately, we want this to be your recovery project, and that's extremely important to us. So we look forward to working with you, look forward to the days ahead for Opa-locka. Thank you guys so much for your time. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That is a very good point. So the Integrity Group is one of a few firms in the state of Florida that is on the state term contract. That means the city of Opa-locka does not have to do a long, drawn out RFP process, request process. You can put out a request for some quotes. I think you have to get 3. And that's a much shorter process, a much easier process. So that is another thing that is an advantage in working with the Integrity Group. So, do you have any questions?
You done?
Yep.
All right. Floor is open for any questions from my colleagues.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Davis.
thank you. Thank you to the Integrity Group. I think you guys do awesome work with the localities that you work with throughout the state of Florida. One thing that particularly caught my ear was drawing down those funds immediately so that we're able to gain interest on that amount. If I heard you correctly, the interest that is earned, it will be considered unrestricted income.
That is my understanding. Yes, sir.
Okay, so it won't be ultimately held to the same restrictions as the larger rescue plan dollars. That's good news.
Yeah, those funds are unrestricted. They do not fall under the same guidelines and the same restrictions that you would have for the regular ARPA funds. But guess what? These guys are expert in the compliance component.
Mhm.
So they'll take you to the line. They ain't gonna let you cross it.
Got it. Yes, and yes, dealing with grants, we all know that that is very important that we stay in compliance. Because ultimately, a grant is a contract and has certain obligations. So definitely look forward to you guys working with you guys on this. Thanks.
And what I would also add, Commissioner, is that in terms of the fees and the costs associated with what it is that Integrity Group does, it's included within the DAC, which is the direct administrative cost, right? So in the ARPA funds, there's 15% that's allowable. And we've had some, what should I say, spirited conversations around what that would look like. It would be less than 15, but probably more than 2. So I'll put it that way.
Okay, okay. Yes.
And there's no cost to the city up front, right?
Right. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your packet?
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Commissioner Bass?
Yeah, just want to say thank you for coming to present us tonight. I'm looking forward to further having conversations with you all to see what else you have to offer. It's very interesting and I would like to hear more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Taylor?
all right, so I have two questions. When we talked about the immediate drawdown, what will be the timeline for immediate drawdown? What does that look like?
So as I understand it, those funds are available now
Mhm.
to be drawn down, but the city has to make a request first to get that. And then we would also help you set it up in a bank account that would be interest bearing and those types of things. So immediate means immediate.
So, well, then my question will be, because of the interest, are we losing out because we haven't requested the drawdown for the funds already? Are we losing out on interest?
Through the mayor.
Mr. Manager?
So the city has already requested drawdown and we do have the first tranche of funds already that's available. We have not placed them in a specific interest bearing account because the monies were just recently received, but we have done the request and the city has received the initial little over 3 million dollars.
That's already in process.
Yeah, already have.
Oh, we
It's
have.
already in our accounts.
The only thing we would need to do is put it in an interest bearing account to
That's correct.
acquire the interest.
Correct.
And then my next one, well, through the mayor to the manager. So if we were to go with Integrity Group, how do we move forward?
So after today, I will have individual conversations with each one of you all to see the direction that you guys want to go with this. And if you guys want to have further dialogue,
Mr. Manager, could you speak up?
I'm sorry. After today, I'll be having individual conversations with each one of you all to see what direction you want to go. If you want to have further dialogue with the Integrity Group, at that point, I will review whatever documents they provide me with the city attorney and see what applicable regulations that they fall under as far as our code and move forward from there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Mr. Manager, okay. First of all, to the Integrity Group, I want to thank you for bringing this to the attention of our public by doing a public presentation on this. These funds are significant infusion that can really change the face of our infrastructure and our city as a small municipality in the state of Florida. So this multi-million-dollar contract is a big deal. And that's where I'm just wanted to get some clarity on. It's the first time since being on the dais that I've had a company come to public presentation to advocate for a contract. I know we have a competitive bidding process. Mr. Manager, could you kind of go into a little more detail? You talk about having private individual conversations with us as a commission. How would this get around the competitive bidding process?
This entity has done business with other municipal corporations within the state of Florida, which qualifies them to potentially be piggybacked instead of a formal RFP process.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, the state of Florida
Hold
actually.
on,
Sorry.
hold on, sir. Is that Mr. Manager?
I answered the question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Sorry. The state of Florida actually did a competitive bid process itself. And so what they do is every, I believe, 4 years, they do this process and they get bids in from firms all over the state. And then they choose a handful to be on the state term contract. And what that state term contract means is that the state of Florida has already vetted those companies and their prices. And it opens up to municipalities such as yourself to be able to just put out a quote to some of those handful that have been given the state term contract, and then to choose from those based on whatever criteria you put forth.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the price has already been pre-established as well.
All right. And this, Mr. Manager, just state for the record, why exactly is this company chosen to present? And is there going to be other companies that's going to come and present before us as options, or you plan on just moving with this company?
This company actually solicited to meet with me and to do a public presentation. As many on the dais is aware, I can't deny an organization from wanting to do a public presentation. So they sent me multiple emails. I had multiple meetings. They requested a public presentation. At that point, I cannot deny them that. And that's why they're up here today. And that's not saying that I'm not going to contact other entities. They just requested a formal public presentation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, I want to thank you very much. Just want to make sure that we have a fully transparent process in this. This is a significant amount of funds that can really transform this community. And we want to make sure that it goes through a transparent process to where we get the best person to manage these funds to ensure that they have realistic impact on our community. So it's an amazing opportunity. I want to thank you for taking your time to be out here today.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
All right, moving on to Citizens Forum. Madam Clerk, could you go through the rules and regulations for Citizens Forum?
Yes, good evening. City of Opa-locka Commission meetings are held in person at Shabandi Village Auditorium, 215 Purvis Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida. Members of the public wishing to address the commission may do so in person or virtually. Those persons wishing to participate virtually should register prior to the scheduled meeting time on the city's website at www.opalockafl.gov. When speaking before the commission, please make sure to give your full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is part of the commission meeting agenda. City commission meetings are aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-locka. And at this time, Mr. Mayor, I don't have any registrations for virtual comment.
All right, thank you. I do hear some feedback from the audience, so do want to make sure that we keep conversation to a minimum so that we can do our job up here and that the person on the podium is respected. So the Sergeant of Arms is remind people of the decorum policy within this auditorium. With that, Citizens Forum is open.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ivy Cromer, 920 Curtis Drive. I yield my 3 minutes to Chief Kason.
Good evening. My name is Patsy Williams, 2479 Northwest 60th Street, and I yield my 3 minutes to Cheryl Kaysen.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission and everybody. But before I get started, there was somebody that needed to speak because I'm of the community. I'm sorry. And I'm very vocal. Most of you know.
Could you speak into the mic?
I'm sorry. Okay. I received several phone calls on my way
You
here
have to
this
state your
evening.
name and address for the record.
I'm sorry, Cheryl Kaysen, retired chief, Great City of Opa-locka. My Opa-locka address is 781 Curtis Drive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But it was a young lady that I was told, I don't know her name, that spoke the last commission meeting after I did. And they said she was very afraid and she wanted to speak to me. But I'm asking the mayor and commission, I don't know who she is, if they can call her and let her speak, because she's supposed to be afraid of the police. I don't know what's going on, but I'll stand by and I'll gladly speak after her. But I don't want anybody to feel that you have to be afraid to speak. That's one of your first constitutional rights. It's freedom of speech. You don't have to be afraid in this community. And
All
we
right,
do have a
so,
chief of police.
Ms. Kaysen, so you're not speaking right now.
Right, I just want to let her speak first and then I'll go because
Okay.
I want her Mr. Mayor, I want her uncomfortable. I mean, I'm sorry, I want her comfortable. We want to
Got it.
make you comfortable. Okay,
All right.
it's okay.
Ma'am, could you state your name for me?
Hi, my name is Francesca Gonzalez.
Ms. Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez, I want to let you be clear. You are completely safe and open to state whatever you need to state in this room. I was in your position 6 years ago where I felt threatened, and I never will let that happen in this courtroom as I'm mayor in this city. So feel free to state what you need to state and be completely okay. This is your community and you're here. So take your time.
Thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, who did not want to attend today because she's in fear.
You state your address for the record.
Okay, her name is Maribel Gonzalez, and her business is 709 Opa-locka Boulevard. Okay. My name is Maribel Gonzalez. As I hope you remember, during the Citizens Forum of the last commission meeting on September 22nd, 2021, I came up to the podium with my daughter, Aisha, and she nervously read my translated letter to the commission. Within days, I received this letter here from the attorney Richard J. Diaz, stating that he represented your presently employed Captain Sergio Perez, very intimidating, threatening to file suit against me for defamation. Besides being completely blindsided by this, because I never defamated Captain Perez, because I never mentioned his name. I only said a captain. But is this what happens to citizens that speak up at your citizens forum? Retaliation by the city of Opa-locka and your police department, specifically Captain Sergio Perez, causing me to be in complete fear for the safety of me and my family. Captain Perez is still employed representing your city of Opa-locka. Please allow this to serve as my request to open an internal affairs investigation by the Opa-locka Police Department, and also a more trusted investigating agency, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, against Captain Perez for any wrongdoing by him being presently employed by your city of Opa-locka, threatening and successfully intimidating me and my family. I will also be seeking the advice of an attorney to file a suit against the city of Opa-locka and the Captain Sergio Perez for violating my rights and my safety. And pretty much my mom is at home crying, depressed. She doesn't know how to handle the situation. I'm here for her because she doesn't want. And I'm just here representing my mother. I'm concerned. My mom has been in this city for 15 years, has always supported the Opa-locka Police Department. And it's very heartbreaking for me, for my mother to be dealing with this situation. And I'm sorry, it's just very disheartening, this whole situation. I'm done. I don't need to say anything else. I'm sorry. Thank you for your time.
Give me one moment, Ms. Kaysen. Ms. Gonzalez, I want to thank you for coming before here to the dais. I want to thank your mother and all those who's coming here. Please note this will be taken care of. I'm going to say this very clearly. I have no tolerance whatsoever in any way, shape, or form for this government or any representative of this government to threaten people, intimidate people for doing their duty to come before this commission. I was that young lady 6 years ago. I was sitting there surrounded by the police here, threatened with going to jail twice. And for me to take that step to make sure I came to this commission, ran for office, to bring a new generation of leadership, new city manager, new attorney, to see this happening, I have no tolerance whatsoever. Mr. Manager, I strongly hope that this internal affairs investigation, and I will personally call any FDLE to investigate whether or not these allegations are true. And if they are, I hope to God that this management ensures that just do is happening. Because that is not happening here in this city, ma'am. I want you to be clear about that your mayor, that y'all elected, is going to fight for you and defend and make sure that this government does not infringe upon any of our rights. Am I loud and clear, Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, your statement is on record.
I'm glad it's on record, and I really hope it hurts you in your ears and in your actions. Next person.
Mr. Manager, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
If you would, let us get this part over with.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you so much. I'm sitting here and I'm dumbfounded. I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm embarrassed, I'm hurt, I'm some of every negative emotion that any one of you can think of tonight. This should not be happening in the city of Opa-locka. Enough is enough. I don't care if it's Parks and Recs, I don't care if it's HR, I don't care if it's building and licensing. It is enough. What are we doing as a city? What are we doing to our residents? This young lady in tears, I'm about to fall on the floor because I'm hurting for her. And to be intimidated by a police department, that is ridiculous. And by an officer who's already all over the news for negativity, that is ridiculous. And I'm strongly suggesting to the city manager, handle it. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, handle it. Because it's not funny, it's not cute that a young woman standing in front of us in tears because of what has happened to one of our, happened to her family because of one of our officers. When will it stop? And the thing is, this is nothing new in Opa-locka. Nothing new. Some of us voted on a new day. When is the new day gonna start? And we can't do it alone. I was appointed, yes, the rest of us were elected. We can't do it alone. We need our heads to help make this right. We do. And it takes you as citizens, residents of Opa-locka, to stand up and let your voices be heard. Some things might offend us, but it's okay. This is the land of the free and the brave. Stand up, be brave, and say what you have to say. And yes, I'm angry. Yes, I'm boisterous, and I don't care right now because your feelings matter to me. All of your feelings matter to me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Chief Steve Rare, Opa-locka Police Department. I just want to assure the commission, prior to even the onset of the announcement of this investigation, I already been in contact with the state and FDLE. The city, this police department, Opa-locka Police Department, is cooperating fully with federal, state, and local officials to ensure that all misconduct and activities, inappropriate activities conducted by members of my agency are appropriately investigated and handled. To give you that confidence. Outside entities are already in play and were brought in to ensure impartial and thorough investigations. Thank you.
Chief, I want to thank you for going on record making that statement. I appreciate that. I hope that this follows through.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
And
Mayor.
make sure that lady is taken care of. Go ahead. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Bass. Because what you all don't see is she's sitting up here in tears and tears on the inside and the outside. Because I know how it feels to be bullied at all levels.
I would like to ask the city attorney, is it possible we can get a copy of that letter?
If the resident shares it through the mayor, if the resident
Mr.
shares
Price,
it,
can you see if we can, thank you.
yes, if the resident shares the letter, you are welcome to get a copy of it.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? Thank
Commissioner
you.
Davis.
Thank you. Must say, I'm very sad to see the young lady's emotions and all the troubles that her and her mother have experienced at no fault of their own, but through our actions as a city. You know, as you all aware of, you know, we are in a service delivery business, and our service delivery hasn't been on par for some time now. You know, I've said it many times up here, you know, our police department needs change. And that's, you know, top-down change, starting with the top. You know, looking at this situation tonight, it seems to be that, you know, things haven't changed as much as we thought it has. But I think, Mr. Manager, my challenge is, you know, when are we going to see change? You know, when are we going to see change? Currently, we're in collective bargaining with the union. And my hope is that, you know, whatever we decide on as a commission, administration, that we hold those officers that, you know, aren't putting the best behavior forward, we hold them accountable. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And we need to see some change. Our residents, our taxpayers, they, you know, I said it a million times up here, they pay our police officers' salary. You know, respect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Taylor.
So I do just want to say that my heart goes out to the young lady that poured her heart out on tonight. Because like my colleague said, it doesn't feel good to be bullied and intimidated. But I just want to ensure our residents that we have your back. I can speak for myself. You elected us to do a job, and we're up here to support and be the voice for you. So whenever you feel that way, come to us. We have an open door policy. Well, at least I know I do. And we will support and speak for you. That's all I want to say, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Citizens Forum, continue.
Lord, thank you. It's even bothering me as a female, and I'm a retired chief of police and been a police officer in this great city since I was 23 years old. And that's why I'm here again tonight. Mr. Mayor and Commission, the city manager appointed a captain. And that captain is playing in the office structure of the professional police department with a taser. Allegedly, but again, it must be some truth because FDLE is investigating. The city manager said on September 8th meeting that there was no truth to this anonymous letter. Somebody's lying. It's either FDLE or it's the manager. There was one meeting when this came up and the manager said it was untrue, and if it was, he would resign. Still here, because I know FDLE is here. And as the chief stated, there are multiple investigations going on inside the police department. I gave a letter. This came to me at my house. People still contact me all the time. It's a three-page letter. Actually, it's 4 pages. I made the copies for you myself. I don't know who brought it to me, and I did not read it all, but what I do know, some of this is true, and you need to be aware and deal with it because we elected you to protect us, and we're going to protect you. We have to protect each other, like you said. Commissioner Bass, and each and every one of you. Okay, let's move this a little further. I was going to talk about your constitutional right, but that's been addressed. The first time I've seen this young lady that I know about, but I got calls about it. So I wanted her to be comfortable up here speaking. This is not a dictatorship, okay? A lot of officers have come to me scared for their jobs. Why? How can these officers come to work, wearing vests, protect and serve, and they're being intimidated in the workplace? So it seems that they need their vests and their guns for the inside, not to protect us on the outside. Furthermore, boy, I gotta read some of this from my phone because I don't want to go too far and get out of focus, and I want to stay because of the things that I'm armed with. You know, I have to just be careful, but I want to put the facts on the line about what's going on. So Mr. Mayor and this commission is aware, no more lies. They are here. Okay. The young lady that was in the paper, our deputy chief. Let me tell you a little bit about what the paper said. I'm sure you all read it, because if I received all this stuff, I'm sure you did, because the people elected you all. They didn't elect the city manager, and we didn't elect the clerk. We elected you all. And the people are watching. The only reason this place is not filled up, oh, some of them can tell you because I filled it before. Didn't I, Commissioner Taylor? Okay. The only reason is in respect of the pandemic. That's why. A lot of people know about this young lady and a lot of other stuff. You guys got to know. I don't know why you're not being abreast of what's going on. It's not fair. You have a right to know. You deal with the operations of this city, and nobody can tell anybody who not to talk to. How you going to know what's wrong if you don't talk to me? How are you going to know what's wrong if you don't talk to us? That's why you have to live here, because we all share the same concerns. And that's why you're here, to fix it, to legislate. The manager, when I look at, and you have it on the back of the last page of the paperwork I sent, on all police departments, there's a chief of police. I have here one from FDLE was recorded. You know who is the Opa-locka Police Department has the chief, Chief Barrera. But on here it says John Pate, Public Safety Director. Now, yes, he's the Public Safety Director, but let me break that down for you. Let me tell you what that means. It's just like President Biden. When they call him to give a report for the militia, he's called what? The Commander-in-Chief, because he's the big boss. But he don't dwell, he has a cabinet equivalent to chiefs, equivalent to directors that run the departments. You're not supposed to know all that. He's not supposed to know. All he's supposed to do is get a report from us, from his directors. And when the president stands or he gives his report, he have his commanders, he have his chiefs or his directors in case there are other questions that he cannot answer. He does not know everything. All presidents are not in the militia. That's your job. The chief of police is Chief Barrera. Is that not the chief of police? That's what I understand. Is that our chief? Why Mr. Pate is here as public safety director? I'm not saying he's not, but come on, man. Word semantics. Let's stop this. Stop playing with people. As I said last week, stop pissing on people and telling them it's raining. It's some more coming. It's some more. It's deep. Okay? Some officials as well, playing with these lines and dealing with these officers. The president of the United States, don't go into each cabinet and tell them what to do. And Chief, where's the chief on things? Everything I see is these other people. And according to the paper, October 7th, I believe it was 2021, about a deputy chief getting PPP money. Y'all know what that PPP money for? People who can't pay who need to help pay their workers because of the pandemic. People had to go home. People were out of jobs. People had to feed their families. One thing for certain and two things for sure. Two people always had jobs. That was the police and medical. Right, y'all? They didn't go on Zoom. They had to be front and center because they have to protect and serve. They have to be here for us. And I'm glad about the integrity, but we'll talk about that as well, because that's one thing you have to do. Protect the integrity of this city and protect our people. You have to protect us. I'm here talking, and I'm going to be here. Mr. Mayor, commissioners, we cannot allow this. We can't have people keep looking at us and laughing at us. The young lady, according to the paper, admitted, I paid it back. No such animal, okay? Please. You know it was wrong. One thing we know, when you're born, I don't care what nationality you from, your parents teach you, don't lie to me. And if you're a liar, you're a what? Thief. A liar is a thief. We see it. I would have been come forward, but the pandemic has held a lot of people down. Let's wake up and let's get this thing right. Don't let people continue to play word semantics with you. They make it fit what they want it to fit. No, let's be trustworthy, upfront, and truth. The police department is one of the most valuable departments that run your city. Mr. Mayor, I'm glad you chose to come and run for commission and open to the police. I've had to defend you and didn't even know you that well, other than hearing your name. Because at some point, all of us did not like police for one reason. I didn't. I was born in a triangle, and we stayed on the other side on Wilmington. And I remember when it was a predominantly white police department, and we had Commissioner Napple, God bless him, dead, became a very good friend of mine, was the chief of police, and he used to chase my brothers and my people. And anyway, I joined the police department. I came all the way back to Opa-locka. So I'm saying all these things to say, y'all, do something. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. One other thing, Commissioner Taylor, let me tell you, you continue to hold your head up high. I don't care what nobody said. Your mother's a great lady. She was the mayor here for many, many years. And you have a great legacy and somebody to look up to. All of us that have children know our children must be better than us. Okay? And guess what? Like my grandson, my 9-year-old grandson always tell me, we can't help who we some kin to.
All right.
Okay,
Ms.
and I'm
Casey.
going, one thing, I got to say this, Mr. Mayor, take this one with you. See, I told y'all, now, don't let nobody pick on you and tell you it's raining. This the last one, I'm gone. Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
All right, I do want to be clear for Citizens Forum. There's a 3-minute time limit. There's other citizens that yielded their time, but there is a 3-minute time limit. Let's be clear on that, all right?
Brian Dennis, address 2140 York Street. While everybody pointing the finger at the manager, nah, not me. I'm gonna point it where it need to be pointed at, in that middle seat, because that's where it started from. See, if you wouldn't have never touched Chief Dobson, this wouldn't have never happened. And it wasn't like there wasn't a conversation had about it. Been in this city since 1986. Been coming to the commission meeting since 1997. I know what's in that police department. That's why I was telling you, don't touch it. But see, as touch a hot stove, you learn hard head make a soft behind. Now, when you snatch Chief Dobson out there, now you got the riffraff in there. That riffraff been in this city. The riffraff was up under the former chief that just left here. See, you don't know what's in there. But the arrogance, the conceitedness, college degree, can't tell you nothing. Now look at the mess that is in. Whether you get rid of the manager or he stays here, you're gonna look bad because you brought him here. You didn't vet the process. You didn't vet him. Don't say you did, you did. because I know for a fact you didn't do it. Now, you went to Chicago and got Mr. Payton. Y'all up here for a whole hour and some change arguing about this 88 thing. I'm looking at the meeting and I'm watching this. And while you listening to them people in the background that sat up here on the dais that wasn't using the charter, now y'all sound just like them. Y'all sound just like them. The same attorneys that wouldn't use the charter now advising y'all on how to use the charter. Come on, man. Be real. There's no reason why that young lady should have been up there crying because of an officer that ain't no good. Y'all know Perez ain't no good. I know Perez ain't no good. But you violated the charter because you told the manager to get rid of Dobson. Yeah, you did. It's a conversation, Mr. Mayor. And they following you. You like the Pied Piper leading the rats to the water to drown. See how that is? I ain't blaming the manager. I'm putting it on you because you the head. Say what you want to say about former Mayor Taylor, but you envy her. You want to be like her. That's why your car parked in the middle of the street. I told you, you will never get that type of respect from me. You are arrogant so-and-so.
And that's not
You are
appropriate.
very disrespectful. Listen, don't listen. Don't play with my time, bro. Don't play with my time. Because everything that's going wrong in this city is on you. That's why you didn't get the votes that you needed back in April. Don't blame the manager for that. Blame you. You the one who pulled the stop out the tub and let the water go down. Same game, new faces.
All right, Mr. Dennis.
No, man, listen, man, don't talk to me while, don't use my 3 minutes up trying to go back and forth with me. Mr. Morehouse, you can't bring no gavel on me. I ain't disrespecting the charter, I ain't maneuver the charter. Listen, man, I got my 3 minutes. I know the charter better than you. You got to rely on the attorney. It is what it is. It ain't slander, and I'm not violating the decorum. You the problem, man. You the problem.
There's a decorum policy in the city of Opa-locka.
It's a fact.
So not be boisterous on a dais or
I'm sick of you. You disrespect. That's why that's gonna make it crime. Because of you.
Whew, Jesus, okay. Natasha Irvin.
Hold on. Mr.
Okay.
Irvin. I will not get out of character. There's a decorum policy in this city. And while some may not abide by it, we will. Our code clearly states not become boisterous and to address the commission as a commission and as a body. Please make sure we continue to do so that we have respect here in this city. All right? All those other comments, you can say that to after this meeting. You can come one-on-one and speak to anybody up here. One-on-one. You do not need that mic to make a scene. All right, Ms. Irvin.
Well, I thought I was bringing good news today. Well, it's good news. I came today. Oh, no, sorry. Natasha Irvin, 670 Dunat Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, 33054. All that. I was coming on behalf of the Booster Club and our kids out here to say thank you to all the commissioners that came out to support our homecoming a couple weeks ago. Thank you so much. That's the first time that we've had everybody just about there at our homecoming since I can remember, and that's been like 8-9 years. I thank you all very, very much. Mr. Pate, thank you for that great donation that you gave us. We really appreciate it. And Godspeed to everybody. Good night.
Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jan Avenue. Good evening, everyone. I would like to take this time to thank Commissioner Bass, Commissioner Taylor for recommending me to be in an advisory board audit committee. However, it did not pass because of 3 commissioners. And just for the record, I was watching online. One commissioner stated they needed someone with expertise. Also, I was not the right fit for the advisory board. I just want to state for the record, not only have I been working for a college for the past 23 years, but also before that, I worked doing credit and collections, doing end of month reports, internal audits, accounts payable, accounts receivable, credit manager assistant. I worked as a bank teller. At the same bank, I worked doing CRTs, which is suspicious transaction reports, which were sent to the IRS. In other words, I know how to work with numbers and do research. So before you say you need someone with experience and I am not the right fit, please ask me for my qualifications, or even ask me for my resume. You currently have the following openings, board openings. You have 3 civil service board, 4 community relations, 2 fair housing and nuisance abatement board, 1 planning and zoning. Again, for the record, on 3 occasions, I put in my request to be on one of these boards. Every time I was turned down by the mayor. Had it not been for the late Commissioner Burke and Commissioner Taylor, I would have not been approved to be in the Planning and Zoning Board. I really think that the state should do a revision as to why is it that all the boards are open and you have qualified residents interested in being in these boards and are constantly being rejected. Now, with the police department, I know there's a lot of news out there in the newspaper regarding incident about the police department. I really do believe that we need to give the chief of police, which has been placed here with 30 years experience, to do his job. We need to think outside the box and not, everything needs to be facts. We can't go based on he say, she say. You already know that the news and the media get paid to do this, to say all these negative things. So I just think you guys need to think about that.
I am totally speechless and again embarrassed. My name is Dottie Johnson. I'm so embarrassed of all of y'all. I live at 13724 Northwest 22nd Place. See, I'm not gonna go by what you say. I'm gonna go by your action. Now tonight, everybody loved public safety. But in your budget meeting, 3 of you voted against to reduce the police department. Don't play with me. Those 12 years, and I'm glad of my age because I am very experienced and knowledgeable. My IQ is 162. I'm intelligent. So you get up here tonight and you love the police department, but you reduced the budget and you took 2 officers out for cold. Shame on you. I would never vote for you again. And if I have my way to tell others, they need to check your voting record. Code enforcement, we need code enforcement at night and on the weekend. But before you do that, you got to go back and see what have you not given to Dade County. Because you don't have any tooth with what we have on record now. A good model is Miami Shores Village. Go online, pull it and look at it. You all went back and forward about vehicle replacement. These raggedy cars that the staff have, you can hear them before you see them. And they're filthy, absolutely filthy. The seats got holes in them. I'm sure neither one of you all will, forget that. I'm coming up with another friendly reminder. The commission have 3 employees, the city manager, the attorney, and the clerk. Tell me now, why don't the city clerk have a contract? I've been saying it for over a year. Somebody take the initiative and do the right thing. On 37th Avenue, you may not travel that way. In the median script, there are 4 trees that's been down for at least 6 months. Anyone have connection? I can call, but I ain't gonna do it no more. Because if you don't care, I'ma care, but I'ma care a different way. Again, I say to you, may God richly bless you on your decisions. And you guys really got to, and ladies, you got to get it together. It's not a good representation of leadership. Thank you.
Citizens forum is open. Citizens forum is closed. Any comments from my colleagues?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Davis?
thank you. To address the comments of Ms. Dominguez, I was actually the commissioner that made the comments about having the expertise. I wasn't speaking, Ms. Dominguez, to your professional experience personally. I was speaking more to the qualifications of the board that was changed a few years back to actually bring in persons with expertise. So we were actually looking for an auditor. So having auditing experience and I think expertise, I'm not, in no way, denoting your experience because I am familiar with your background. I remember being on the campaign trail with you and did know that you worked at Miami-Dade College. So I'm very familiar with those things in your background. However, the way the qualifications is written, the board was actually looking for someone with more technical expertise, which is why I made those comments. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Teller?
Okay. We had a very rough meeting on tonight, but I do want to say I thank God for the good news from the Booster Club. I was actually able to attend the homecoming, and it was a good time and a good reunion to see our community come together and rally behind our children. So that was a good sight to see. So I do want to commend the Booster Club and also our Parks Director and that put together that homecoming for our children. And I would say I'm a little upset because I didn't get my TV, but I won't hold that against you. But I do want to commend you on a job well done to the Booster Club and to our Parks Director.
All right. Citizens forum is a sacred duty of this commission and this space. And I want to appreciate all those that are coming before us. Ms. Kaysen and Ms. Gonzalez, all the new folk that came up here to share their thoughts. Thank you. Continue to come, continue to share your insights. There are a few things that were mentioned that I do want to touch upon. One was about the reduction in police department. We actually increased the police department staff, I think by over 2 sworn officers and also almost 5 or something non-sworn officers. The edit that we made was to actually put more people out on the streets to pick up the trash and trees, as you mentioned, Ms. Johnson. So we want to make sure that our city It's also clean and beautified. So we want to make sure there was investment in that. We also put funding to replace all those cars. We have a significant amount of vehicles that's going to be replaced throughout. You see our police force already had quite a few new vehicles. Public Works, code enforcement, and parks will all also receive vehicles so we can update and upgrade those vehicles. To the appointments of boards, I want to continue to encourage people to apply. Please submit your applications to the boards so that we can appoint. We have individual appointments, so people can appoint whoever they deem necessary on these boards. There are a few at large where it takes a vote of the whole commission, and we have our ability to make those yays and nays. And in regards to the hiring, firing police and all this stuff, we are a council manager form of government. We as a commission, as a body, make decisions. None of us on this dais can make any decision alone. Our manager is the CEO and executive. He makes all decisions of hiring, firing, promoting everyone on this in the city. Let me basically be very, very clear. We cannot do that as individuals, and it is illegal. We're not going to do anything improper as elected people here on this dais. So thank you for coming in. Please continue to have decorum and respect. We change the nature and face of this government by our individual actions. As employees getting out there to do better, as citizens coming in and being engaged, and as elected officials making good decisions on behalf of the people. That's how we're going to change this narrative and bring a new day in Opa-locka. And that's what we came here, that's what we fought for, that's what we ran for. And we will see that through. So I want to thank each and every one of you for participating in today's Citizens Forum. With that, let's get to the business. We have action item 16A1.
An ordinance of the city of Opa-locka, Florida, establishing a charter review board for the city of Opa-locka, Florida, providing for a method of appointment and composition of the board, establishing membership terms, duties, and responsibilities of the board, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for codification and severability, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by Commissioner Taylor, Mayor Paget, Vice Mayor Williams, and Commissioner Davis.
All right, this is a public hearing item. Public hearing is open.
I was just like, again, my name is Dottie Johnson, 13724 Northwest 22nd Place. I'd like to commend the commission on this. And I think it's an ad hoc committee. So therefore, I see in the legislation it says for a year, but does it sunset after a year? Because it's just to get your thoughts together. What I would like to strongly suggest is that prior to getting your committee and making your appointments is to have some sort of community engagement to get some feedback from the people first, and then congregate your committee together and stay on board with it. I think it needs to rotate where you have commissioners coming in and out so you can have some input, and it won't be a drawn out long process, because 2022 is when you want to have it on the ballot, and it does take time to make that progress. Thank you.
Public forum is open. Public forum is closed. Do you have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Taylor,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Williams. Commissioner Taylor, you want to introduce this item?
Okay, when it came down to I want to say I'm happy that we were able to actually do a charter review board. so that our citizens can be heard, like you said, Ms. Johnson, because there are a lot of things that our citizens would like to see in our charter or updated in our charter. So we've opened up this so that we can actually engage as a community to make those necessary changes. So I'm happy to actually sponsor this legislation, and that's all I need to say.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you to the commission, to Commissioner Taylor. I can tell you that on the campaign trail, this was a discussion, many, many days and long nights discussing the charter review. So thank you for bringing this up, and thank you for Commissioner Taylor and Mayor Pygott and Commissioner Davis. I would like to see if Commissioner Bass would like to also co-sponsor with us, putting her on the spot.
It's needed, much needed.
Thank you. It would be great if we could have all the commission sponsoring this.
What about I want to own it?
I didn't hear you. You got your pink on and you feeling. Thank you so much. Ms. Flores, if you can add Commissioner Bass, thank you.
No discussion? All right, Commissioner Taylor, I would like to know if we can add an advisory role to this charter review board, similar to what we have in our audit committee, where we can rely upon some of the experts at the local University of Miami. I did speak to President at St. Thomas, so that we can get some more in-depth, I would say, expertise on this advising the Charter Review Board. So I was wondering if we can make an amendment to Section 3 to where it says the Charter Review shall consist of 5 resident electors appointed by the City Commission, but also include 2 advisory seats to this membership. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
That's one question.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind.
All right. So we're going to accept that as a friendly amendment to add 2 advisory positions to this charter review. Also, it states that in D Section 5, that the members shall serve without compensation, but sufficient funds shall be provided by the City Commission in the annual budget. I'm guessing that we want this to be implemented within this year.
Correct.
Okay.
Because like what was alluded to, this will have to go on the ballot in 2020. So those are the costs that will be incurred.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what funds do we have available to provide a budget that's reasonable and necessary by this board? Mr. Manager, where will we get those funds from?
Mr. Mayor, I have to consult with our budget department in regards to that. Typically, charter review wouldn't necessarily fall under my purview. It falls on, the entire budget falls under my purview, but budgetarily, I don't know where historically those funds have came from. And if I'm told that, we have to look and see if a budget amendment is required to add funds to that specific line item.
Okay. All right. I do want to make sure that this charter review, this is a major, for those watching, this is a major move of this commission. Our charter is a founding document of and main governing document of this city. And through many of our audits, there's been a lot of talk about updating our charter and our code so that we operate in the highest standards of a municipal government in the state of Florida. So I do want to make sure that, number one, we have the best advice and expertise to guide us in this process, but 2, that is properly funded so that whatever is needed, if there needs to be a study, if there need to be reports, if they need whatever is needed, that we make sure that this board has the people and the funds to do what they need to do to make sure this community and our codes represent the needs of our electorate. So look forward to seeing this, what those funds would be. I will definitely take any funding that is allotted to myself as mayor, or for any events that's allotted in here to be contributed to this effort if necessary.
Mr. Mayor.
This is something that needs to be done.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
My office has no problem putting this full effort in ensuring that the process is funded appropriately without, taking from other funds. If I can just get a cost estimate of what was spent last time during the process, that's at least a dollar amount to start from. And then as the board meets and they look at the scope of the changes that are going to be made and expert opinion, then we can expand it from there.
I would suggest, and I don't know if we need to make a motion to direct the manager, but I think it's important that we look at other cities and what they may have spent on this charter review, and ensure that we have a comparable budget to that. I wouldn't want to just rely solely on the past, what was done in the city of Opa-locka. I would like to know what is the best amount, and what do cities that are thriving spend on reviewing their charter, and let that get a few quotes and a few estimates so that we're clear on what that is compared to what we spent last time, and that be presented before us so that we can make that decision.
Mr. Mayor, I'll work directly with the city clerk in determining that. So direction is not needed. I'll work directly with the clerk in polling cities and determining the dollar amount, at least to start, and provide that information to the commission jointly with the clerk.
All right. And Commissioner Taylor, when do you want this? Because once this goes into place, or anyone, when are we going to make those appointments so that this can get underway? If we're looking to get something on the ballot for next year, Madam Clerk, when do we actually need it done by to submit those recommendations for the ballot?
For our next election in
For the
November
upcoming election in
2022.
November
The
2022.
deadline is normally around July of 2022. But I'll make sure that I get that information to the commission.
All right. So what that means right now, we're less than 9 months out in order to get this appointed, get this supported, get this funded, and we want to put something on the ballot. So when do we want to make those appointments once this passed, so that that board can be determined, and also it gives a timeline for the manager to submit the budget.
Mr. Mayor, I would just ask the process to work. You had questions in regards to the budget, so the manager is going to provide you with that information. Once we get the information from the clerk, we can put it all together, and then we can go ahead and start appointing people.
Okay, so by next commission meeting?
No, because it's an first reading, right? So it has to do second reading, and then we have to make the appointment, so it won't be,
Okay.
it'll probably be about November.
Okay. All right, great. So by November, we should have that.
Mr.
All right.
Mayor?
Madam Attorney?
Yes, I do have a question for the sponsor. In terms of the two people that will be appointed from the university, are those voting or non-voting members?
I would say non-voting members, because they're just advisors, but they shouldn't be able to tell us what to do in our community. So just to advise.
Perfect. Any other comments, questions? All right, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, second reading will not be until the first meeting in November.
Oh, okay. All right, that's because of the advertising?
Yes, to meet the deadline for the next meeting, it was actually today at 12 noon.
Got it. Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions on this item? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Pike.
Yes.
Motion passes first reading.
All right. 16B1.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving a request from AMD USA, Inc. to close, vacate, and abandon a portion of the Northwest 130th Street between Northwest 30th Avenue and Northwest 30th Court, and a portion of Northwest 30th Court between Northwest 130th Street and Northwest 131st Street for the operation of a concrete batching plant and finished concrete production company facility on the property located at 13050 Northwest 30th Avenue and identified by folios 08-2128-002-0020, 08-2128-002-0030, 08-2128-002-0040, 08-2128-002-0050, 08-2128-002-0060, 08-2128-002-0090, 08-2128-004-0380, and 08-2128-004-0330, and the I-2 zoning district, providing for an effective date. First reading was on September 22nd, 2021. This is sponsored by the city manager.
All right. Well, this is a public hearing item, but it looks like management has some words before we move on to public hearing.
If you had
Is
any
that what I'm hearing?
questions,
All right.
we can go ahead and make it for the public, and then I'll make my presentation.
All right. Public hearing is open.
Mr. Mayor, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor,
um,
generally, the staff would make a report first and then the public would speak.
Yeah, I was thinking of that for planning and zoning, but since this was an ordinance, that's what I was wondering. So does that same apply?
Yes, I would recommend that the staff do its report first.
Okay.
Mayor, members of the commission, Gregory Gay, Director of Planning and Community Development. This item is before you for second reading for the acquisition of the right-of-way, the vacation of the right-of-way for this particular property. This property is located in the southern portion of the city in an industrial area, I-2, along the 131st Street and 30th Avenue. The actual right-of-ways that are being considered for dedication is Northwest 130th Street, a portion of, and Northwest 30th Court. During the first reading of this particular item, the main concern that was expressed was the cost that was proffered in order to acquire the property. This is a right-of-way that's approximately 11,369 square feet. The initial proffer was approximately $95,000, a little less than $95,000. You had some concerns as to whether that was within the market range. You did have an appraisal that was provided. The appraisal gave variables anywhere from $8 up to $30 per square foot. With that $30 range, it kicked the price up into the $300,000 range. But we did look at the information related to the appraisal, and it was determined that the appraisal was taking into consideration properties that had buildings on it as well versus raw land. This particular right-of-way is unimproved. It is basically raw land, but it is a right-of-way that goes through this particular property. The benefits to vacating this property as such would also allow for with the vacation of the right-of-way, it will allow for the increase of the square footage of the property overall, and it will also allow for the replatting process to be done in relationship to unifying eight parcels and making it one large parcel for this particular operation. So with that being said, the amount proffered was increased from $95,000 to $200,000, which comes to a breakdown of approximately $18 per square foot. Based on the information that was provided and the fact that it would be a benefit to this particular project, it will also serve as a benefit because it will increase the tax value for this particular property. Therefore, the city will benefit from increased property taxes coming to the city overall. Staff recommends approval for the vacation of the right-of-way. And once that is done, there are two other steps that will be required in order to complete this particular process, which will be the declaration of the property being considered surplus property and to accept, if you so choose to, the offer amount that has been proffered at this time.
Mr. Gay, really quickly, did you say that the land is currently unimproved? What do you mean by that?
The statement of the land being unimproved, even though it's a right-of-way, there's no roadway that is going through this particular area, at least on the 30th court side. It is basically raw land. There's no curb and gutters. There's no infrastructure improvement relating to that particular section of the road. Now, the section that's on 130th Street, that is an improved section. But the primary area that was going through, it is unimproved land.
And what do you mean by improved?
Improved would be considered whether there was any type of buildings or whether it was asphalted over, any type of improvement that would basically increase the value of the property overall. That would be considered improved. And if that was the case, they would have the proper documentation to show that that was done.
Okay. All right, public hearing is open.
Hi, good evening. Mark Cooper, 15060 Northwest 22nd Avenue. I've been in the city of Opa-locka for 11 years, and this is really a high point. This is a good time in Opa-locka, and I wanted to say thank you, all of you. You take a lot of time, and even dealing with the public, I'm sure it's not easy. So thank you, just as an aside. Thanks for letting Mr. Gay go before me. He's misinforming the commission. I have a picture here of what's on that right-of-way. I presented a package to you guys. This page number 2 seems to be unimproved raw land to me. And this doesn't seem to be unimproved raw land. This has a much higher value. I'm not against it being sold, but I don't want the city of Opa-locka to go back to 2010 when I got here where we were just being fleeced. And so page 3 of my packet shows Northwest 30th Court, and the shadows of the silos are on the right of, or on the street. So this isn't the normal, I want to buy the street. This is a business that's been using the street for the last 20 years, hasn't paid taxes, are trespassing on the street, have basically foisted an improvement on the street, and now want to take it. The legal question is, who owns that cement batching plant now? And so, Mr. Mayor, at the last hearing, you asked Mr. Gay, or you asked their engineer, can I drive through the street? And the engineer said to you, if you had a Land Rover, because there's a lot of rocks and stuff, and he kind of said there's a silo. There's a building on the middle of the street, and that has a value. And so the city is not in the position to give away the street as if it's raw land, and let's pretend that there's nothing on there so we can all get along. That's not what's going on here. There's a building on there. You don't really have the right to give it away. Why Mr. Gay doesn't, at that moment when the engineers kind of half-stepped the response, why he doesn't say, for everyone's edification, there is a structure on there. Why he doesn't do it, I have no idea. But really, what you need to be given is a survey, not just the boundary survey of the street. You need something called a topographical survey, which tells you exactly what's on the street, so you can make an educated decision. But it's not here. Then the appraiser says, I just took a sketch. He says that I just took a sketch of what the survey guy gave me, and I multiplied it by some number, and that's the value of the land. But that's not what we're giving away here. What we're giving away here is a street that's been trespassed on for 20 years. There's an edifice on it, and legally, if I build on someone else's land, it's a gift. Now they want it back, that has value. I'm not saying don't sell it. I'm not saying squeeze the guy, but let's be honest with ourselves. So I think you need to not approve it, let them go back, get the real survey, see what's on there, what's real, not Mr. Gay's half step or not the appraiser hiding behind the sketch. And that's how you make an intelligent decision. Thank you very much. I'll leave this up here, if anyone wants to look at it. I would like to make my packet part of the presentation because I pay like $100,000 a year in taxes here in Opa-locka. I own like $8 million in real estate.
Got it.
And everyone needs to pay. Everyone needs to participate. It's not easy to have tenants, and it's not easy to carry the load and to deal with stuff. And thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Public hearing is open.
Good evening, Dwayne Dickerson on behalf of the applicant. I'm an attorney with the law firm Denamis Backman, offices at 14 Southeast 4th Street in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm also here this evening on behalf of my law partner, Hope Calhoun. I'm not privy to the information that the gentleman just shared with you, but I am very confident that we worked very closely with your city manager and your staff, Mr. Gay, with respect to the survey of the property that's to be vacated. And I also have an aerial that I think may be helpful. Mr. Mayor, if I may show that. Thank you. So this is the aerial of the property. You can see the boundaries of the property in the pink, and the L is the two rights of way that we're proposing vacation of. It's Northwest 130th Street, which is down here. And then the other one is Northwest 30th Court, which is here. So as Mr. Gay stated, unimproved means there's no asphalt. It's not what you would consider a traditional right of way, even though it does have a street name. There's no gutter, there's no asphalt, and it isn't a road that you would drive a vehicle on like you would drive another road in the city. So lastly, I'll say, before I get to that, this is another aerial that kind of shows what's laid out. You can see here is 30th Court, and then 130th Street is down here. So we've provided all this documentation to your staff. The city knows exactly what's there with the facility, and we believe that this vacation is the safe way to move forward. This is an industrial property with industrial uses, and we do not believe it's appropriate to have it as a street for general public use. With respect to the valuation, we've worked with your staff. The initial number, as Mr. Gay said, the 300,000, the offer that was about 95,000 was because a portion of that property is for the city, the right of way that the city will use and has purposed. But in working with your staff and making sure that we did what's in the best interest of the city, that offer has now been increased to $200,000. I believe that correspondence was provided to Mr. Gay, and it's now part of your record. And based on the appraisals, the value, the unimproved versus the approved portions, we believe that is definitely a fair market value for the property that we're asking to be vacated. And lastly, I'll state that as part of the process, as you all know, there were several other applications and site plans to make sure that this property was brought into compliance and that it met your land development regulations. And we're confident that it does now, with this vacation being part of the final piece. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I really thank you for your time.
All right. Question, do I have a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Davis,
Second.
second by Commissioner Taylor. Are there any conflicts of interest for this item?
As in questions?
Yes.
Yes. I have a question.
No, I say conflict of interest. I know that if there's any benefits or anything, we have to make a statement on record of any conflicts of interest. So that. Okay. All right, Commissioner Taylor.
All right, so to start, to Mr. Gay or the manager, who conducted the survey to come up with the $200,000, $18 per square feet?
Gregory Gay. That amount was pretty much based on the information that the applicant had provided when they did the purchase of the business operation. At that time, their purchase price was at about $24 per square foot, with all of the other buildings and silos included within that particular purchase cost. And we took in consideration the offer price that was initially offered, which was about $95,000, which came down to about $8.34 per square foot. Because of the property not being improved, we basically made a determination that the proper offering should be somewhere in between those two amounts. The applicant did say that they were making a proffer that was going to be the highest and best allocation for the purchasing of the right-of-ways. So they initially initiated the proffer of $200,000. Based on our evaluation, we concurred with that particular amount.
Okay, and Mr. Gay, the land you said was unimproved and raw land. So the building that we're being shown next to the cement truck, which leads through that property, which has cement on it, that's not considered improved land?
That particular photograph is a little skewed. It is showing the entry point into the property. The entry point is not exactly where the roadway vacation is to take place. It's that vacation area is a little bit further to the west. So that building is actually not on the right of way.
Okay, but raw land and unimproved land means land that has not been developed. So is there cement at all or any development, anything that's on this particular property, 130th Street and also 30th Court? Is it just bare grass or is, I think one of my colleagues asked, could you drive a car through it?
It is not bare land. With it being a concrete operation, I'm pretty sure there's been spill off of concrete that has lasted over the years since this business has been in operation. So it's a variety of different surfaces that you will be driving on. Whether you can drive a car across it, I would not do that, just based on the fact that you may have some jagged rocks or some type of other ground cover that would not be suitable to drive on. It is not at this time a roadway, which is what it was initially to be platted as, but it's not a roadway for a vehicle other than heavy trucks to drive on.
So then that would be my question. It's a cement plant, but you said the land was raw. So if the land is raw, how do they get those trucks through there? And this, you said is skewed, how far over? So none of this is the property in question. None of this cement land, none of this, where this truck is, none of this is the property in question?
That's along the edge, close to 131st Street, where you see the cement.
So a block over is just pure grass.
It's not even a block over. It's a mixture, but it's unimproved. It wasn't where they went and actually asphalted over. They made actual improvements. They just basically had remains of some concrete that was from certain trucks, concrete trucks that were moving in and out of the site. And I've seen in several occasions where if they have a remainder of concrete for their trucks, sometimes they would dump it right there on the site, or they would take it to a reserve to reuse.
Okay, not taking, because it sounds like we took their word for it, not taking their word for it. Have the city, do we have pictures to prove that this land is unimproved? Have we been out there to do our own due diligence to make sure that what he's showing us is not the land that we're potentially about to vacate?
We've been out to the site. We actually had the site posted. I don't know if we have actual pictures that show where the actual roadway would be, the right of way would be.
Yeah, I'm a little uneasy about that,
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I'm done. Go ahead, Mr.
Commissioner Taylor, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To follow up on some of the points that Commissioner Taylor touched on, I think Mr. Cooper ultimately said that a survey should have been done, because ultimately a survey, kind of identifies some of those physical features that that are on existing land. Has a survey been provided at all by the applicant?
The survey was provided by the applicant. It was actually included in the items that were previously approved by you. So the survey was included. Now, the type of survey that Mr. Cooper spoke about, I'm not aware if that particular type of survey was done, but a survey was provided.
Okay, so, yeah, so that's probably where the problem came in at, because based on any knowledge that we had, I don't think, we had any indication that, there's something that's impeding the roadway. Not to jump too far, but to go back to the price per square footage. All right. So we said that the original estimate was in between the range of $8 and $30 per square foot. That was the original estimate. I guess
That was the amount that was taken from the appraisal report.
Okay, and the original offer was 95,000, and the applicant came back and actually more than doubled it to 200,000. So my question is, $200,000, at what price point per square footage does that put us at?
It puts you at a little below $18 per square foot. It comes down to $17 and about 59 or 60 cents per square foot.
Okay. And we're still, in essence, I guess, a little over half of what that price per square footage was ultimately made out to be. Is the applicant open in any way to negotiating the dollar amount that was proffered during second reading, the $200,000? Have they?
I can say that during the discussion that I had with legal counsel, basically representing the applicant, my initial proffer to them was higher than 200,000. They're the ones that came back and said the highest offer that they were willing to make at that particular time was 200,000. So there was an attempt to be somewhat negotiable in some way, shape, or form. But they said that the highest that they were willing to offer at that time was 200,000. They do have a representative here. I don't know if that position has changed. You can ask them that question to see whether they're a little more amenable.
Right. And I remember during the first reading of the item, the reason why we why we voted for it, but we asked for the applicant to, come up with a better price. So they ultimately came back and they gave us more than half, right? Like more than half of what was offered before. Now we're at a place where we're looking at the price point, which is 200,000, which is roughly half of what was being offered between the 8 and 30 price per square footage. I'm a bit challenged because I do feel that the applicant should pay a little more than what was proffered. I mean, if the lowball offer was 95,000, in my opinion, I think 200,000. I mean, they could. I'm pretty sure they could do a lot better than that. And also, given the unclarity and uncertainty of what is actually existing on the land, the survey, what is inhabited, what has been inhabited for this long period of time, I think is also a point of concern. So I'm not as comfortable with this estimate, although I did during first reading of the item supported it. But my hope was, that the return would be a lot higher than the amount that's being proffered by the applicant. Thank you.
Commissioner Bass?
Thank you. As Commissioner Davis just said, I'm feeling the same way. And for me, I'm very uncomfortable right now, even though I supported it during the first reading, because there, to me, are conflicting reports. Me personally, I would like to see the space. I know we have, you have a presentation, he showed us one, we saw different things, but I would like to see it. And I agree with you with that price range. I was hoping that it was better. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Hmm.
If I may,
Mr. Manager?
I would like to request to defer this item at this time.
Okay, after I speak. You have anything, Vice Mayor?
I do. I would like to see Mr. Manager or Mr. Gay, whoever. I would like to see where we're working for us. Sometimes I'm conflicted because I'm not sure if we're working for the organization or business that wants to come into our city, or are we doing what's best for our city? I would like to hear Mr. Gay in the future, the good, the bad, and the indifferent of a project. I would like to hear that and not, sometimes it feels like it's being sold. And that's where I get uncomfortable. Thank you to the citizen that brought the information, because I am always somehow uncomfortable when it comes to items that come to the board, because it feels more like a sales pitch and not what we should be doing when it comes to what the board should vote on that's going to be in our best interest. So I just want to put that on record. Thank you.
Mr. Cooper, I want to thank you for coming out here to present this information in front of the commission and to bring to light and reaffirm many of the things I pointed out during the last commission meeting in a very realistic way. I really appreciate you taking these pictures, showing the developed land, unincorporated land, and also providing maps. And one of the very first questions I asked management with this item was, how does this benefit our community? And then I asked, why haven't I received the permits and occupational licenses that I've requested as a public records request in these public meetings for months? I was told at the last meeting that they were readily available. Mr. Manager, why haven't I received the public record request on the documentation for the permits and occupational licenses for this property?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Manager.
I want to say, I think we pulled that information and we'll double check our files. I'm pretty certain we pulled that information and I'll look at where it went, but I'm certain we did, Mr. Mayor. And if you haven't received it, I apologize, but I know we did pull that information. Because if we said it was readily available, it's readily available. There's no reason to withhold it. So I'll have Mr. Gay look into that.
This item came before us months ago. And due to my line of questioning, it was deferred. And then at the last commission meeting, I asked the same questioning and I asked for these records. Why is management and administration misinforming us as a commission and not providing us the information we need to do our duty and make proper decisions?
Mr. Mayor.
I have a problem with that.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Manager, I am still speaking. I have the floor. To sit up here and come before us and present this before us, saying it's undeveloped land, when clearly, if you go on Google Maps and do an aerial picture, if you go around there, you will see that that property has developed on this land years ago. I asked for those public records. I wanted to even see how that fence that came around the land that covers our roads. If we go on Google Maps, 131st isn't a street that you can look in and do a street view. That's not a part of this packet, but they've even blocked off at one point in time, and the way they park the cars and the trucks on 131st, that is a road that is inaccessible to our community. So if to have this property, take our land, develop on it. I don't know the details of whether or not they got the permits because I can't speak on that. And I will hope I can get that information and find out whether or not they did this with or without a permit, but for some reason I'm not getting that information. To have this concrete batching facility in our city, how does this benefit us? I know that just looking around, the conditions of that site, the fence, the roads around it are deplorable. We have a community called Ingham Terrace Apartments on 131st, where roads are messed up because of these heavy trucks. And to come before here and have this and to try and sweeten the deal by increasing it, like I would say it time and time again, I do not support this. And I really wish that my words in this commission meeting are not completely overlooked. We're not like being a sole lone vote or making statements and it is not heard or spoken about. But I want to thank you, Mr. Cooper, for bringing this before us. To show this and make sure that people understand and realize that this is unacceptable. In my vision for Opa-locka, and if you ask any of those people, if anyone ever go around and ask those people that live around that area and talk to those people, it would tell you some stories about this company. That's all I have to say. I vote no for this. Is it, Mr. Manager, you say you're going to defer this?
Yes, I'm requesting a deferral, Mr. Mayor. Also, I'm going to ensure that Mr. Gay does the research because I am pretty certain that we did pull the history and that we'll see where that email floated to. But what you requested, we sent out. So we'll do that research. Is there anything other specific information that you need in regards to this property? So we'll be 100% clear. So in the morning, we'll make sure you get it.
I think it'll be great if we do what Commissioner Taylor said and take pictures of this land that we are bringing up, and also for the management to provide those pictures to us along with those building permits and also a topographical survey of it. Those would be very helpful to make a decision on this item.
Mayor
Mr.
Packard,
Manager.
if I may, I would
Commissioner
like
Bass.
to physically see it. I understand the map thing, but I need to see it. And that would help me to make a better decision going forward.
Thank you. So
Thank
also
you.
Commissioner Bass is requesting the tour of that area. Anything else? All right, this item is deferred by the manager.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to manager's report.
Mr. Mayor, I am under the weather at this time, and I have no report to provide the commission. I'll ask to be excused upon the movement of this section of the meeting.
Anyone have any questions for the manager?
Just one question, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Right.
Commissioner Bass?
Lately, there has been, not lately, there has been crimes, things happening in the city, and I'm just wondering, why is it that, I'm gonna speak for myself, I have not been notified as in the past when something happened. I'm hearing it or reading it or being asked a question about it and I'm lost. We represent the city and I would like to know when something happens in the city. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Mr. Manager.
Commissioner first, thank you for that. With your re-indoctrination, I will check with IT and see if you're in the flash traffic system. So every elected official gets a group email. So it may be just a IT glitch where we did not reincorporate you into the system. So my apologies in advance. And if it does make you feel more comfortable, if for at least the next week or so, if something happens, I'll have no problem picking up the phone and calling you to make sure you receive it.
Thank you.
And if I'm not, Madam Commissioner Bass, is it just the flash traffic updates or being notified about investigations, about things that are hitting the paper too?
None of it.
You're not getting anything?
The only information I get is from City Clerk's Department.
So I echo those sentiments. That is something that I've been speaking about since January, early on, about getting information from management. I think it is very important, extremely important, that we as elected officials, representatives of this commission, are made aware of these investigations, of these major incidents and updates, ideally before the paper. We shouldn't be finding out about this when it hits the paper. We should be thoroughly briefed on these things. We should be clear about what is our position so that when we ask questions, we know how to respond. It is very difficult being an elected official and not having information available and supplied to us. All right, any other questions for the manager? This manager, a few weeks ago, I know since January, we've been talking about doing an evaluation or challenges within the HR department. And you brought to us last month that you were going to do an assessment. And after our last commission meeting, we were sent the email saying that you selected a company to do an assessment of HR department. I would like to know your process for vetting this company, number one. Two, what is the contract that you plan on providing this company and what's the amount? And thirdly, why doesn't it go through a competitive bidding process.
Mr. Mayor, first, as far as that's concerned, the dollar amount is under $12,000. It falls under my purview. Competitive bidding is not required. Contract has been executed based on my authority. The HR department is gathering the documentation needed for the assessment. On-site visit starts in November. I hope I answered your question, sir.
How was the company selected?
The company was selected based on my research, my knowledge of the area, and again, me making a determination of the best company to do the job based on my determination. Sir, thank you.
And I see this company is from the Midwest, and they do a lot of work in Connecticut. Why would you select this company when they have, based upon what you've submitted to us, did they do any work in the state of Florida? Have they ever done what's our laws in the state of Florida?
They've done multiple searches, executive searches in the state of Florida for finance director and other positions within the state of Florida and within the region, sir. So this is not the first time of them actually doing work in the region. This is the first time them doing an HR assessment in the region, but the whole team that is coming down to do assessment are HR professionals with over 30 years of experience.
Okay, but they haven't done HR evaluation under the laws of the state of Florida.
Human resources work is nationally standardized work, with a national accreditation, Mr. Mayor. Again, I've answered all your questions in the best of my ability. If there's further inquiry, I have no problem in taking that up offline. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, I'm a transparent elected official. And when HR is has one of the highest levels of audit findings in our operational audit, we have open positions that's been out for months, some almost years. We have challenges with staff increases. We have challenges with doing the evaluation of all employees. This is something that is important to the development of this city. So I want to be clear, and you're saying that now, I've just heard the price. You say that this company is going to bring a whole team down here and do an evaluation and assessment of our HR department, which will address all those audit findings, our evaluation system, update policies and procedures, all this for just $12,000?
They're doing an evaluation of the department in order to provide recommendations. At that point, we will look at what further engagement we would want to do. Mr. Mayor, if it's the commission's desire, I can halt the process and move forward in a different direction if directed to do so by the commission. Again, everything that is being done falls under my purview. But again, if the commission or if yourself personally feels that you want me to move in a different direction, please let me know and I will do so, sir. Thank you.
I'm not going to be set up to direct you, Mr. Manager, in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to do my duty as elected official to ask questions and bring to light things that are happening within the city. So I have asked my questions. I want to make sure this is on record because this is a very important move, and to have a company out of the Midwest, and I don't know the qualifications, all this. I got a few page documents that details. Would love to see the contract and the scope of services for this to make it clear that it is going to address the issue, that we're going to invest in this, that is going to address the issues that are laid out in our audit findings. It is going to address the issues we have with recruitment. It's going to address the issues that we have with evaluations. and all those things. That's what I want to be clear on, and I would like guidance and understanding and documentation that will support that is the case, along with the amount. So with that, is there any other questions for the manager? All right. Moving on to our official board reports. Madam Clerk, do we have any board reports?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, at a recent meeting, we discussed HB 1 that was passed during the legislative session. I wanted to ask us to consider joining. There's ongoing litigation at no cost to the city. And I would like for us to join this issue and unite behind it. And by bringing it before the commission at the consideration for the next meeting. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Manager, because I know that Madam Clerk, correct me if I'm wrong, we did pass that item, vote to approve that at either last commission or commission before last. What's the status of that item coming back before us as a commission? Mr. Manager? Yes, we voted. We put on the agenda during future agenda items, either last meeting, meeting before last, to support this legislation. Could you provide the status of that item?
Unfortunately, I don't have an update on the status of that particular item. I thought, so the commission passed to support and become a part of the group. That's what you're saying at the last meeting. We were supposed to do something in the manager's office in relationship to that. I didn't remember. I don't remember the manager's office been given any directive in relationship to that.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, so I need to go back and listen to the record because I'm also asking the legislative aid. And there was a lot of talk about it, but I don't recall specifically it being a future agenda item. So I will go back and into the record and listen to the audio to see if in fact that was a future agenda item.
Okay. All right, because I specifically remember them doing a presentation, requesting them coming here, and us moving on that. So, all right. So, Madam, just in case, do you want to make that motion to join that item? So I was moved by Vice Mayor Williams. Do I have a second? I second that item. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Taylor?
last meeting, I was under the impression that we discussed to workshop that item, not to join, because we all didn't have the same feelings about it So I don't remember us voting to actually jump on board. I thought we voted to workshop. That's what my impression of it was. Because I wasn't willing to support that without our attorney giving us legal advice on it. I could be wrong, but that's what I remember.
Okay, so we hear that. So was it has a workshop been set, Mr. Manager or Madam Attorney? Mr. Manager, the workshop been set? Yes, sir, Mr. Manager.
You say have the workshop been set, established? No, sir.
Okay, Madam Floor. Okay. All right. So we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor? Yes, I have.
Commissioner Davis?
Thank you. Yeah, I was just kind of a little bit taken back as well, as I didn't see any clear consensus on the item at the last meeting. I too shared my concerns. Of course, I'm adamantly opposed House Bill 1, actually during the time when it was first going through the legislature. I think now, it's reached a place, and I've had, members of different cities and different organizations who's also reached out to me as well to join on the lawsuit, and just received a call as early as yesterday. And I had the same conversation with them, which is, oftentimes us as elected officials, we're put in position to make decisions on our constituents' behalf. And every decision, of course, offers some sort of cost and some sort of benefit. So, I look at it from that perspective, from a simple cost benefit perspective, which is, what are we getting out of this, and what are the potential dangers or challenges that may become as a result of any decision that is made. So, until I guess, get a more thorough understanding, or I don't think, it's a good idea to support it. Thank you.
All right, so we still have a motion on the floor. No discussion. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Davis,
No.
Commissioner Taylor,
No.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
No.
Mayor Pickett,
Yes.
motion fails.
All right. Any other future agenda items? Right. Hold on. I have one or two, actually. All right. At our last meeting, as was mentioned earlier, we had a very long discussion about work from home accommodations for our manager. And the next day after that long conversation where we requested that for many medical challenges that we denied that and that be requested to us. Then the next morning, we receive an email from the manager. It says, working from home, non-medical. And it clearly states, good morning, I'm requesting to work from home today, which is not medical related. Since there is no policy related to time and attendance for appointed officials, I am assuming that I am able to approve this request myself. I would like us as a commission to direct the attorney to put together some type of work from home policy for appointed officials so that we're very clear about the rules and regulations about taking time off and showing up in the city for our elected officials. As my motion. Any second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bass. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Madam Attorney?
Yes, this issue did come up previously through Commissioner Davis, but and I've spoken with them about the issue. You all really will need to workshop this. It would require a more comprehensive analysis than just coming up with some type of a policy. Because what we have done, we've gotten something from the clerk where she's done some research. We've done our own research. It requires this to be aligned. You can't just look at it by itself. You really have to align it with how other employees are treated in your ADT system, how leave is conducted, when, where, those kind of things. Like you could probably, I guess, come up with something global that, you would just like for them to have a certain amount of time, whatever that is, but that may even call into question what the manager's contract states right now. I do think it's something that will require a little bit more, input from you all, as opposed to me just coming back with something that may not be relevant to how your processes work. And I would request that this would be a good issue to workshop, along with having your HR director come and explain how leave is conducted now, how it's done, what's done, how the appointed officials weigh into that. How theirs is requested, and get other questions answered that may be relevant to what you're trying to do. It's not as easy as I've explained to Commissioner Davis to just, kind of put something on paper and say, here, this is it. It's just not going to work like that. There are too many other factors. And this HR review that's being done, that might be an opportunity to get some answers that may be the groundwork for doing the analysis that you want. But I think it is, well, I know it is more comprehensive than it's not something you can just kind of throw and say, hey, come up with something. We tried. It's not going to work that way. So I would ask that before you, vote on this, that you have some discussion that's going to be meaningful, that maybe you can workshop along with, as I suggested, the professionals in HR who actually deal with this issue, who can give you better guidance. Because I can find something from some other city, but it may not align with what you are doing right now for your own system. So that's the problem you may have.
All right, so are you saying that this work from home policy, because I want to make sure this addresses this specific instance where it says that since there is no policy, he can take it himself. Is the item that you've been communicating with Commissioner Davis will be inclusive of this that we've already said we're going to put pass?
It could be inclusive of it, but I think you need more information about how things work now within the, putting things in that system, how it works. Like, for instance, in
Okay,
most
I
cases.
understand that.
Okay.
The question that reason why I'm asking that is whether or not we need to vote to make this a policy, or based upon what's already passed, it can be included within that discussion, within that item. So that's really
Yes,
it.
I
So
believe it can be included
within that.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I believe it can.
All right, and I
Yes.
will withdraw that motion, but I would like to make a motion, respective future agenda items, that we have that meeting within the next 30 days to discuss these items, and that HR attorney have legislation that's comparable to whatever other cities brought before us. We have the policies that currently is within the city of Opa-locka and work from home, and that we have all that documentation before us with the proposed language that we can discuss as a commission at our next workshop.
And see that's the thing, and I don't want to disappoint, and I hate doing I hate doing this, but that's the thing. I mean, it's for us to just give you some language. That's what you're going to have to decide what you want that to look like, because honestly, most cities don't have this issue. Most cities have if you have a 2-week or 3-week or whatever the manager or other professionals have as leave, they take it, they put it in the system, they let you know it's not an issue. You don't have this. So to create something, you're going, as a commission, you all are going to have to decide how stringent, what do you want to create? And then we'll look at the manager's contract and see if that's inconsistent with something that may already be there. It's more comprehensive than, us just kind of coming up with something and saying, here, this is what you should use. I don't think we're going to be able to create that for you. And that's why I'm suggesting, I think it's going to take some dialogue in terms of the purpose for the workshop will be to have your HR person come, explain what's going on now. How is it done? Because this is unusual, is what I'm trying to explain. So if you want to create something that is different than what other people may be doing, which is just folks come to work, then you need to determine, what you want that to look like and how, and then we can work around what you say. But I can't make up something without knowing all of the intricacies of what's going on now. I'm not clear, you know, even with trying to have discussions about it. And so I think that's something that you all should hear, and I can craft anything. So, but I think you have to put some time in it to try to determine what you want that to look like and make sure it doesn't, I'll make sure it's legal and it doesn't conflict with anything else that may be existing.
My concern about that is that I do not want to go into a workshop and not already have proposed language that we can digest and review and do our own research, our own language proposed, and also policy. I would hate to go to another meeting just to talk. We are not experts. And the only thing at the end of the day, we just want our manager to show up to work. And it is unfortunate that we have to go through this process. He's already got attorneys coming to our meetings regarding this. And I do not want to personally have to try and figure out the proper legal language to make sure that we're protected and our manager shows up to work. And if he's not showing to work, he lets us know. So that's what I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that we as a commission has provided the research, the just proposed legislation, any policy options on other cities so that we can digest that and have a real fruitful conversation when we do workshop it. So I really hope that we can get that in preparation for this workshop. So I did motion that we have this within the next 30 days. Do I have a second?
I second it, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Discussion. Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Bass,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Mayor Paget,
Yes.
motion passes.
The last future agenda item that I would like for us to bring up or discuss is the manager's evaluation. This past year, we had a whole discussion where we did not complete the evaluation. It was legislation brought up to try and address that, and it failed. And now we're about 6 months out into the next evaluation period. And I hope that we do our due diligence. So I would want to hear from my colleagues about how we plan on addressing that, because I know there's been efforts to try and it failed. So I'd like to hear from us, especially to those that dissented last time, how we go about making sure that we are doing our due diligence in this area.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Davis.
Kind of just digging back a little bit into my memory on the discussion around the manager's evaluation and that entire process. I remember vaguely that we had a point of concern, I guess, with the evaluation tool. So in my opinion, I think, you know, that was the challenge, and which is why we, you know, wasn't able to evaluate the manager in a timely fashion and ultimately lapsed through the first timeline for evaluation. So I think, I mean, if we could kind of get ahead of it and at least as a, you know, as a board, come to some sort of consensus, you know, relative to the evaluation method and tool, you know, I'll be in favor of that. You know, I didn't really have a problem with, you know, the tool initially. But when it was brought up by my colleagues, you know, I was like, you know, you're absolutely right. You know, maybe it's a little bit antiquated and maybe it could go through review or update. So I still have that same position and, I would recommend at least leading with that ahead of any, workshop or whatever sort of setting we are to evaluate the manager.
Mr. Mayor,
Madam Vice Mayor?
thank you. When I brought the item back a few times, the tool was antiquated. Actually, as a matter of fact, it was more than 10 years old, if not more, maybe 15, I don't know, 2013, I believe it was. We were to go back and create a tool. If I recall, I did create the tool because several meetings had gone by without one. I also presented the tool at several several commission meetings for the commission to review so that we can not only agree on it, but have discussion and make edits and or revisions. Again, the tool does not belong to one person. I just took the lead to create it because it was old. However, I do believe that we do need to go back and revisit to make sure that we are all in agreement with the tool, that it does not belong or sit on one person, because I'm sure that would be not something that everybody would agree with. So if we can revisit, I would be happy, Ms. Flores, if you can go back to send it. But there does need to be another discussion because we're at a crossroads and we need to make a decision on what we're going to do. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Taylor?
Okay, so, well, and I don't want it to look like we're targeting a person with this evaluation. I know it's needed, but I just don't want it to look like we're targeting a person. So is this something that's done for all appointed officials or just the manager? Is there legislation that speaks to that?
Mr. Commissioner Taylor, I don't know if you've read the actual manager's contract, but it clearly states that beginning in 2020, as determined by the commission shall review and evaluate the performance of the manager at least once every fiscal year between March 1st and immediately following April 30th. Said review and evaluation shall assess the manager's performance of all duties and responsibilities and his exercise of all powers which he is responsible under this agreement during the immediate preceding period. We were provided this many times. We had this evaluation discussion many times. I'm just at a loss of why this narrative about targeting continues to be promoted when we have a duty as elected officials on this board to evaluate the performance of the manager at least once every fiscal year. And it was circumvented last year. And I mean, this past period, and that needs not happen again. So at the end of the day, there's a tool that we have to come up with, and we have to take the time to develop that. It's a straightforward process. And as Vice Mayor said, she went through that process, presented that process to us many times. There was very little comment about it. But when it came time to actually do it, for some reason, people on this dais didn't want to actually go through with the evaluation. And it failed. Now we're coming up on it again. And as mayor and elected official, I want to make sure that this commission does the duty of what we're contracted to do. That is the language. If we need to print it out for you again, we will.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
No, 1 second, please. One, I was in the middle of my sentence and you cut me off. Two, since you brought that up, every meeting that we've had, we've spent more time talking about the manager than the business of the city. That's why I say it seems targeted. We spent 2 hours talking about his ADA. We then talked about all his disabilities, his medical. That's why I asked, I don't want it to look like we're targeting the manager. And yes, you're right, we dropped the ball on the evaluation. But as far as not as far as I'm concerned, what I've known the evaluation to be, we each do the evaluation individually, right? So no one stopped anyone on this board for conducting your own evaluation and submitting it. If you did not do that, that's because you dropped the ball. So you cannot say we didn't, no, you could have done your own evaluation on the manager and submitted it like you say the contract says. So don't make it seem like we stopped that train from rolling, because that's not true. So if you all felt that the evaluation was needed, then you should have conducted one. Drew up your evaluation and submitted it, because that's your opinion on the manager, your opinion. So if you felt that way, then you should have did it. So don't make it seem like we're stopping that train and we didn't do it. And so yes, I do feel like it's targeted, because we spend more time again talking about the manager than we do the business of this city. The meeting has been over for about almost an hour, and the manager again, the manager, HR, the manager, HR, the manager. It's the same thing over and over and over. And it's you all ran on change. And nobody wants to come to work. And we all talked about being bullied earlier. We all have our opinions on the manager. We all have our opinions on him. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to be the topic of conversation all the time. A stop clock is right twice a day. He ain't wrong all the time. Like, come on. So yes, you quoted me. Do you keep bringing up it's targeted? Yes, I think it's targeted because it's getting old. It seems to be personal. It's getting old. HR, the manager, HR, the manager, over and over and over. When does it stop? We ran to support the citizens, and you all quote that all the time. But fighting with that manager does not support our residents. That does not support our residents. Spending 2 hours fussing about his health and does not support our residents. So yes, if you felt or anyone felt the need to conduct that evaluation, nobody stopped you. You could have typed it up and submitted it to the clerk and put it on the record. So don't, because I didn't do mine or anybody else didn't do mine, don't try to make it seem like we stopped that train, because that's not true. You could have did it.
If we go back to the record, during that time, I brought that up almost every single meeting. The only reason why, and I have evaluation that's signed literally that I did. The only reason why it was not submitted is because this commission was in the process of literally extending the evaluation period and bringing in a new tool. So that was on our agenda. And that item failed after that period, which it was moving forward. And then at the last minute, it just mysteriously fails. So yes, I did do my due diligence, but because of how this was playing out, it did not move forward because I had the respect of making sure this evaluation protocol is put in place. I do also, it is extremely sad that we have to go through this. You are completely right, Commissioner Taylor, in regards to having to talk about this. But we're not the ones bringing attorneys into this conversation. We're not the ones being set up as a city. And we have to make these difficult decisions, and we have to go through this. This is a council manager form of government. We are the council. The manager is the person that handles all the day-to-day. So if people that don't know about a council manager form of government and are uneducated about this process, they may believe and think that it is targeting. But this is what we have to do. This is our duty as a commission. Mr. Taylor, I know you just got up here, but it is our duty to do this. So if we were able to just move forward and do the evaluation, then we wouldn't have this discussion. But unfortunately, this is where we are for this. And
Mr. Mayor.
this misinformation just needs to stop.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Oh, okay, we could kind of halt the speeches. I just think that if we have to talk about everyone's evaluation,
Thank
not
you.
just one.
Be fair.
I just think if we're going to do this, then we must talk about charter member evaluations, and let's just be, and I think that is going to make us as a board feel more comfortable that it's not being targeted or blindsided. I would, however, Mr. Mayor, would like for you to answer, why do you not ever bring up everyone else's chart evaluation and just the managers?
We have a contract, as I state over and over again. We have a contract. Did y'all not read the contract? As Mr. Johnson said, we do not have a contract with the city clerk on that. There is not a detailed evaluation period in the city attorney. That is the reason why. That is exactly why. I am A-OK and completely in agreement that everyone needs to be evaluated. And I think that's something we need to do as a commission. But under this contract, there is a time period. And we're coming up on that time period again. Like I stated last time, I kept bringing this up. That is the reason why. That is it. We got a duty, y'all. We got to do the duty. Simple as that. And let's move on. Any other discussion on that?
Mr. Mayor, I would respect if you would say, sponsor legislation to say, let's see how, to do a survey on how we evaluate all appointed officials. But it's always the manager, the manager, the manager. So that's why, and I will continue to say my word, I feel that it's targeted. I feel that it's targeted.
Have whatever feelings you want. Facts are facts. All right. Any other discussion on this item? All right. So are we going to address this? Are we going to workshop this? I brought this up because I want to make sure that we abide by this. So what is am I hearing that we want to do a workshop to redo the tool for all appointed officials? If that's what I'm hearing, let's just move on that.
That's a yes for me, if I get.
Thank you for speaking up, Mr. Commissioner Bass. Anyone else?
I mean, Mr. Mayor, I supported it. I mean, I said it several times up here before.
Okay, all right.
Before we
So
even
I have
evaluated,
agreed.
you know, the city. All right.
right.
I don't have the floor or is, okay. All right, thank you. I mean, I support it, Mr. Mayor. You know, I've said it several times up here that we shouldn't just evaluate. Why evaluate one appointed employee when we have three? You know, I thought that was fair. You know, we talked about giving to the city manager, you know, having him go through that process and ultimately holding him accountable and him leading from the top, and ultimately that translating down to a department level to our day-to-day employees. So I mean, I've been in support of it. I don't think it's fair that, we put forth so much effort and resources to evaluate, one appointed employee when ultimately all of them are held accountable. Y'all are held accountable by us by way of our residents, right? They elected us to be here to hold them accountable. So, I don't know, in many ways, to single out one, I thought it should have never been a part of the conversation. Like I said, I didn't have a problem with the evaluation tool going forward. And even, I was ready to evaluate the manager before the discussion of the tool. The tool discussion actually delayed the process. We were on track to evaluate the manager. If we want to talk about facts, that's the fact. So I'll leave it there, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Workshop. So we're voting to workshop this or put something on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I support the workshop of all appointed employees.
All right. We'll make a motion, moved by Mayor Pyatt, second by Commissioner Bass, to do a workshop to evaluate evaluation protocols for all appointed officials. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass? Yes. Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor? Vice Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Pygott?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mayor and Commissioner reports.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So on September 22nd, the future agenda item for HB1 did pass unanimously. Just for the record.
And that's what I thought. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Unanimously, right? Everyone voted in favor of moving it forward. Exactly. So do we still need the workshop? I'm hearing my colleagues.
Were you asking us or you asking the clerk? Because you seem to already. Can we do a workshop, Madam Clerk?
So the discussion, Vice Mayor brought up to put on the agenda to support the HB1 litigation. We voted on it and it failed for that to sort put forth, and then we asked for a workshop. It has been brought that to attention that we actually already passed it and directed when we pass legislation. This is not targeting y'all, it goes to the manager's office.
Mr. Mayor, don't be immature now. Come
All
on.
right.
Don't be immature.
So,
Don't be
to move
condescending.
that forward.
Don't do
All
that.
right.
Don't do that.
So
You don't like when it's done to you, so don't do it to nobody else. Mr. Mayor, come on now. You talked about decorum. That was your famous word for tonight. You don't like it when it's done to you, so don't do it to nobody else. Come on now.
So I'm asking whether or not we're going to do a workshop. We need to do a workshop because I know 3 voted in favor not to move this legislation. So I want to hear from my colleagues on whether or not y'all want to do a workshop or do the legislation come before us as an agenda item at the next
Mr.
commission
Mayor,
meeting.
I will respectfully remove my future agenda item. It's gonna cost us.
It already passed. So, okay, then that means that we're going to have it at the next agenda item and there won't be a workshop. All right, thank you. I just wanted to see if my colleagues had any other dissension. All right. Moving on to Mayor Commissioner reports.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. Very excited to announce that last week I had an opportunity to visit some of our local participants within our newly established home rehabilitation program. So as you know, I've always been an advocate of home improvements and beautification and just housing concerns in our community. And as you know, in the city of Opa-locka, much of our housing stock tends to be outdated. So most of it was built in the 40s, 50s. So we're getting to a point where it's starting to go down. I was very excited to see I think it was Greater Miami, the partnership with Greater Miami Service Corps to put forth those rehabs on upwards of 7 homes to speak to the residents. You know, they were very, very excited and, you know, very grateful that, you know, that the city is putting forth a project like this and it was well received. You know, most of the improvements were just basic beautification efforts. So a lot of painting and facial improvements, as well as landscaping. You know, many of them also provided extra rehabilitation, such as, you know, adding high impact windows and just other features to go along with the work that we were doing. So, you know, that was my hope. Because as you know, development actually encourages development. So, you know, as we allocate resources towards those sort of projects, you know, we get a return because, you know, not only do those residents put more money into those efforts, but others who see, you know, the improvements are also making improvements as well. So beautification is actually a domino effect effort. But again, just very excited to share some of the time with those families over the last week. And very excited to see this program go forth. And it will have my future support in the coming years. So thank you to staff, Greater Miami Service Corps. Thank you to Mayor Carver for being so instrumental in bringing those CARES Act dollars to our city. So with that, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Taylor?
first off, I want to thank my colleague for helping to bring those CARES Act funds to our city. So I just want to salute him for that. And also, I just want to invite everybody out on this Saturday to our Opa-locka first annual Hispanic Street Festival. That will be right here in front of our City Hall Municipal Complex. It's going to be a day that we come together, we bring our Latin community together as we celebrate their heritage. And it starts at 12, so hopefully everybody can come out and enjoy the festivities.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor Williams?
I would like to thank Parks and Recreation for partnering with me, as well as Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Miami Alumni Chapter, for a breast cancer awareness forum that we had here in Shabundy Park. It was really, it was a live streamed event through Facebook and YouTube, and not really marketed, but surprising enough, many people watched it. So it was really great to see and hear from breast cancer survivors, as well as those that take care of breast cancer patients. Thank you, Commissioner Bass, for asking us to wear pink in recognition of breast cancer awareness. So we thank you for that as well. And I'm sure you'll speak on that. I didn't mean to take that. Also, please join me with Vice Chair Oliver Gilbert for another Opa-locka Community Cleanup, October 23rd. More information forthcoming. Also, October 27th, be on the lookout right here for Delta Days in the great city of Opa-locka. Generally, that is only done in Miami-Dade County and School Board. So this will be the first in a municipal city, and we're excited to see that October 27th. Thank you.
All right. Reports, just want to, we have a hard job up here as elected officials. And for all of us that are working in this city to move the people's agenda forward, and also as citizens, we appreciate you for taking the time to be a part of this process. It's very difficult, but we will make sure that this government does the best for the people and address the issues that affect the life, safety, and welfare of everyone within the city of Opa-locka. We heard your concerns, Citizen Forum. Over these past few weeks, I've gotten so many more emails and calls about challenges and issues. Continue to provide that. I will make sure those things are transparent and brought to light so that we can make sure that we move this city forward as a commission and as a community to bring the change that we all ran for. So I want to thank everyone for their time here today. With that, any other official board appointments?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, then do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Moved by Commissioner Davis, second by Vice Mayor Williams. Everyone have a good evening. Take care. Me is adjourned.